It certainly affects our foreign policy, but I mean, there are so many ways that the ONDCP, the Office of National Drug Control Policy, by law, by federal law, the ONDCP is not allowed to talk about any possible benefits to medical marijuana. By law. Basically, the ONDCP chief, the drug czar, is required by federal law to lie about marijuana. I mean, that's absurd. I mean, it's not, and they don't even try to hide it. I mean, it's right there in the federal code. So, I mean, I think the drug war has been destructive. Constitutional scholars regularly refer to the drug war exception to the Fourth Amendment. I think James Bovard has over the years, done a great job of talking about just some of the absurdities that you can point to. For example, in airports, when you're getting off an airplane, the Supreme Court or federal appeals courts together have ruled that customs officials can detain you on the slightest suspicion if you are the first person off a plane, because that means you're trying to quickly get to your destination and make some sort of drug deal like this. If you're the last person off the plane, because you're trying to avoid suspicion. But also if you're conspicuously in the middle of people exiting. In the 1980s, the Supreme Court actually ruled that customs officials can detain you without a warrant and bring you into a room, give you a trash can, and observe you until you defecate in front of them, because that's how serious we want to be about people importing drugs, in this case by swallowing balloons. I mean, that is absurd. I mean, if you go back and sort of interview what the founders were thinking when they crafted the Fourth Amendment, what James Madison in particular was thinking, and you said, let me give you a hypothetical, right? Okay, you want people to be able to have some privacy. How about, let's say the government wants to detain you in a room without telling anyone, without letting you contact an attorney, without a warrant, and watch you until you defecate. Is that something that you think maybe the Fourth Amendment should protect against? I mean, we've come so far, from that original vision. So yeah, I mean, I think we've lost, almost everything. I mean, we certainly lost our sort of moral authority on these kinds of issues, our ability to sort of, tell other countries why privacy is important, why being free from government searches and government suspicion, government actions due to mere suspicion is important. So yeah, I think it's hard to find, I'm a journalist, you'd think I could find words for things, but it's hard to sort of express, I think, just how radically the drug war has changed us.
Yeah, I think, I thought you were events from your podcast. I think there's a really good reason why this is called a war, why Washington loves to call things wars. The wars on terror, the war on drugs. And that's because in war, that's when the power of political officials is at its highest. And that's been true forever. Like Cicero said during the Roman Empire, when men pick up arms, the law falls mute. Like, there are no legal constraints on what people who wield political power can do in times of war, more or less. And so, yeah, of course, there have been all kinds of obvious policy erosions of rights over the last 30 years in the name of both of these wars. I mean, I remember what got me writing about politics and leaving the law was when I watched the case of Jose Padilla, who was an American citizen who was arrested at Chicago